At this time, we'll also be discussing our topic for the day, taking advantage of opportunities. And a gentleman has joined us, Kelechi
Anyalichi.
Anyalechi. Good morning. It's a pleasure to have you on our program.
Thank you very much. Good
Okay,
morning.
I'd like us to take it from the basics. What exactly, or how will you define opportunity before we go into the nitty gritty?
Well, for me, opportunities are ways through which you can solve problems across any situation or circumstance. And every time there's a problem, problems create opportunities for a solution to be preferred. And that's what happens every time that there's a problem in whatever situation or whatever sector. That's for me is one of the best and the simplest way to define opportunities.
Okay, let
Thank
me
you.
ask this question. Now, we have a rise in um, youth not having employment, youth going into social vices, young people everywhere, whether they're in church, whether they're in um, just in the society at large. There's this void of we don't have jobs. Even the people that have jobs are trying. To be an entrepreneur in Nigeria is really hard. What is one tip you would give to say, okay, this is one or two things I think you can do that can sustain you? Because it seems to be on the rise.
The truth is that no matter the state of things in any country or here in Nigeria, problems always exist. And challenges are always an opportunity to solve problems. The major challenge we're having in Nigeria or any other parts of the world is not the fact that these prevailing challenges that we're talking about. The reality is that people are not enlightened enough to identify where the problems are and then provide solutions. And I'll put it this way, so mentally, people have been wired to focus on problems and use them as a yardstick to put themselves under, a certain kind of limit and give excuses for why they are in the state they are. But the truth is that opportunities exist and have been existing till date. I mean, look at the lockdown that happened last year in Nigeria. I'm aware, and I'm not saying just generic research. I've had conversations, I've had proof, shown proof from people by which 2020 was the best time for them despite the lockdown.
True.
There were people who had their businesses shut down and were able to be innovative enough to find out other things they could do. They identified what were the prevailing problems that the lockdown created, and they used that as the opportunity to solve it. So the moment you are now solution driven, your mind will be and your spirit will be open to identify problems that you can solve, because solution problems carry solutions on their back, and that is the reality. So the unemployment we look at today in Nigeria and all this challenge, economic hardship people talk about, the truth is because we are refusing to take responsibility for our predicament, our present situation and circumstances, and rather we are just focused on giving excuses for our problems. So my first encouragement will be a mental shift. We must agree, everybody must agree that there are solutions and that you can prefer solutions across board and at any time. Once you agree that in your mind, you will begin to see prevailing problems that are in our country. Till date, we have more problems than solution providers or solution to those problems. Someone rightly gave a very, very easy analogy many years ago. I learned it, and it helped me a great deal. And this is just, it's like a chain. So you have problems, and once you have a problem, you are able to solve it, which is a solution. Once you solve a solution, value is created.
Okay.
And now, what is the means of exchange of value? Is money. So people are looking for money, but the entire value chain, they miss it. So if I want to be able to be stable enough financially, I want to be rich, I want to be, wealthy, I have to look for bigger problems. So the bigger problems I can solve, I
The
will
more money.
definitely uh, create bigger value that can give me bigger money in return. So once we have that mind shift, I think we can start from there to change that paradigm and agree and accept that I have a responsibility to identify problems within my environment and provide solutions for it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I know that while growing up, different governments have brought up policies. I still remember that way back we had something called SAP, Structural Adjustment Program, and every other government have brought some things. How do you really look into the youth empowerment in the times that we are now? Are the youth properly empowered? Because we've seen that sometimes even some lawmakers bring up sewing machines, tricycles, and give to the youth and feel that they are being empowered. Is that the best way or best form of empowering these people? Because some people always say, don't give me the fish. Teach me how to go fishing so I can really get something to do. Are there other ways of really getting to empower the youth that is mentally and other things? Is it possible?
Okay, are you looking at this for what you think the government should do or what individuals should do?
No,
Because there are two different things.
I'm looking at it. I'm sorry. I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it at both the government and also the individuals. That is not just only does the government, but also other well-meaning Nigerians so as well that want to really get to help out.
True. Okay, so the government, we already know they're not doing this well.
They can't do it.
And they're not doing this the right way. I mean, like you said, it's not most, and I won't say most, but many youth empowerment initiatives that we see being done by the government are usually not sustainable because of the approach, whatever way. So of course we expect that the government needs to do better. However, why I always don't like to focus so much on the government yet is because there's a limit to what government can do. And government is a reflection of the people. And so if the government is not doing things rightly, it simply means that the society and the people they represent have not learned to do things rightly, because the government, people in government don't fall from the sky. So if we want to also be able to get government to do things the right way, it starts with you and I and every other well-meaning Nigerian for us to have that shift to understand really what empowerment is all about. You said it rightly when we say, when someone says, teach me, don't give me fish, teach me to fish that I might stand on my own. It's very, very important. But many times, even the ones done by well-meaning Nigerians, we need to be able to add or start rather from the foundation. Let people understand the essence of this empowerment. Let it be for sustainability purpose and not just for some razzmatazz, or just mean that you have to do some CSR or some corporate social responsibility work. Let people understand the idea of it, taking it back from the foundation. So we need to start teaching and empowering people to learn how to think. You'll be amazed that people don't really know how to think on their own, think on their feet. So even if you are able to empower someone, and I'll give a very simple example. You can empower people, let me use agriculture, in terms of agriculture. And then they're empowered, maybe they are giving sometime many years ago, they used to give them, maybe they're giving you a space, or they give you some fruits, or they give you something, fertilizers, what you can use for agriculture to support what you're doing there, which is good. But if not learned how to think, you'll not be innovative enough to know that I can grow from where I am, what I'm doing now, to meet present trends. Because yesterday's excellence is today's mediocrity. So if you empowered someone 15 years ago in a certain business sector, and that person has not been taught how to think and to be innovative, he or she will not be able to play in today's world. And that business will suddenly become irrelevant. And so that's one of the major things when we're looking about youth empowerment. Let's not always look at youth empowerment only from physical things that we can give people. So we send people somewhere, come and learn how to sew. Come and learn some of these technical jobs that they are learned. Let them learn how to think. It's too important. Because if they get that, they can expand.
True.
When when they face a challenge here, they know how to move on, to be innovative enough to switch or adapt to that situation. And that is, I think, something that is really lacking, in our space today in regards to this.
So
But
I-
also, there's a lot we can do, and I would really like to encourage people at whatever platform you are, or whatever level you can, see how you can empower people. Today, our government that people are complaining about, there was a time these people were 10 years, 15 years, 25 years. If someone reached out to them and, taught them rightly how to do things, and, bring them, empower them the right way, this won't happen. So why are we having some, not all, some people who go into government and all they're thinking about is how they can embezzle funds and just think about themselves, rather than the community or the local, constituency that they represent? It still falls back to poverty, because they don't even really understand the concept of poverty and what it's about. So what they feel is that this is my opportunity now. Let me take as much as I can that can sustain me. And then you find out that for some of them, 10 to 15 years after they're out of government, they're back to square one.
Yeah.
Kelechi, well, by the way, feel free to contribute or ask questions to the gentleman that has joined us, George Kelechi Anyamaechi. He's talking about taking advantage of opportunities. So, Kelechi, another question that I have is this. You seem not to be impressed with what the Ministry of Youth and Sports is doing, even though that ministry is headed by one of the youngest men in this administration, Sunday Dare, who I understand is in his 40s. Are you unimpressed with what the Minister of Youth and Sport, I emphasize that word, youth?
Am I impressed? I mean, I'll say.
Or are you unimpressed?
I'm very. The thing about leadership for me is that I'm usually very, 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 very careful in criticizing leadership, because I like to look at things from a foundation. I always like to ask these questions: is the problem the minister, or is the problem the system? There are two different things. And I mean, let me just take this a bit wide, beyond the Ministry of Youth. We've had many prominent young Nigerians who we had seen at TVs, or who we felt understood the plight of the youth and the young people, who have been given leadership responsibility, even till now. I mean, some of them till now are still trending on social media. They are dragging them on social media because they expected them to do well. But I've done a bit of my research and study, and I've been asking myself this. I think I even put up on my social media page sometime last week to say, are we focusing on the right problem? Is it the people who go into that position, or is it the system? And that's the same thing with this the Minister of Youth. And that's why I'm finding it difficult to really, want to criticize or feel, has he done enough? Because if I don't know enough of it, it might be difficult for me to give the right judgment on it. Because it might be the system. I am convinced personally that there are many people who have gone into government with bright ideas. I feel personally that it's the system that we need to change. It's a system we need to call out. And if that system is fixed, I mean, it's like a template. So even anybody who comes in there can do things.
So, Kelechi,
that's a challenge you also have.
Assuming President Buhari decides to make you a minister in his cabinet, for instance, how can you tweak the system? And what do you think will you do that'll be different from what the others have done?
Well, so for me, what I would look at in that regard is I need to be able to study when I'm looking at the system and structure. So I would need to be able to request for a bit of autonomy. And what I mean that is, to the extent of which we can control, what can I control as a minister? That is one major issue that we still have here. That issue of autonomy is very important. So I would want to request for that. Because that would help the system and structure. So that even if you want to bring in more collaborators, which is another thing that is very important, you need to be able to bring in collaborators across the divide. You can't be in Abuja and just think that you understand the plight of that 20-year-old person in one village, or one town somewhere. Let me give an example, in the Nasarawa or Edo State or somewhere. So I think those are two major things that we want to do. But first things first, I would want to request for that autonomy so that we can have sufficient political power. When I mean political power, not from the election perspective, or to be able to push certain agenda that would not be suppressed by certain selfish or people who have selfish interests. If we don't do that, I mean, it will just still be the same thing.
Yeah. You've said quite a lot, but in taking advantage of these opportunities that we talked about, you said people need to think. Sometimes many people are in the position where they say that they have, taking advantage of, they are looking for how to take advantage of opportunities, but these opportunities are not available. So the question here is, for someone who really wants to take advantage of opportunities like grants, bonds, how exactly should that person go about it? Because sometimes these informations are somewhat hidden. People don't know how to get this information. I want to try to get into scholarships. I want to do quite a number of things just to make my life better. But this information is scarce to me. How do I get it? Do I go to a school? Is there anybody? Is there a site I can reach out to? How exactly do I garner this information that I require?
Okay, so the Bible says it's the glory of God to conceal a thing, and it's the honor of a king to unveil or search out the matter. Nothing is just going to be thrown into you like that. Okay. And that's the truth. If people say, and I believe that opportunities are scarce, the moment you say that, your mind will shut down. It's the truth. So the first thing is I need to be able to accept that there are more than enough opportunities available for me to take advantage of. Once you start from there with your mind and your words, the things you're saying, which are very powerful, you find that information starts aligning towards you. These things happen spiritually, and you cannot control it. It doesn't have anything to do with your faith, your spiritual affiliation or whatever it is. Even though as Christians, we have the advantage, But these things happen. So it starts from there. Agree that there are more than enough opportunities for me, and I'm going to take advantage of it. Then it's a bit of work. You have to be able to do research. Very, 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 very important.